some perspective on just where Las Vegas views the Pacers right now, okay? On ESPN Bet right now, the odds are shorter for the Pacers to win next year's championship than it is for them to win this year's. They're 2 wins away from winning this one. They are a full season and postseason away from winning the next one. And yet, ESPN Bet is telling you it's likelier that they do that than it is that they win these next 2 games starting tomorrow night. And Winman, I will start with you here on the severity of Halliburton's injury. What do we know and what do we expect?
Well, Rick Carlisle went on Indianapolis radio this morning and said he'll be likely a game-time decision and be listed as questionable with this calf strain. He didn't really give much more than that. Quite frankly, that leads me to believe he's going to play, because if you have an elimination game in the finals and you're listed as questionable, I don't know how you cannot play. So the question really becomes, after treatment over the last, the next couple of days or whatever, how effective can he be? Because he was mostly a floor spacer and a ball mover in Game 5. Pacers need him to be that offensive engine, especially pushing the ball up the court. So typically, if you have a calf strain, Greeny, you miss time. And if this wasn't the NBA Finals, my speculation would be he would miss time. But because it is, I'm sure he's going to try to do what he can. I'm not sure it's going to be enough against this powerful Thunder team. All
right, so let's start with that. You said it as plain as day earlier. He's going to play, right? You believe he has to play if he can walk.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to inspire your teammates. It's a home game. Like this is what sports is all about. This is what it is to be a high-level athlete, and we have seen it in the history of sports. I mentioned Kirk Gibson. Willis Reed did it in an NBA Finals game where he could barely walk. Now, I don't think they'll put a horse needle and carbocaine in his leg, but he certainly will go out on the floor and do what he can. It's all about inspiring your teammates. It's giving your team a chance to win. Even whatever you can contribute is what matters most right now. And you can't worry about tomorrow. You can't worry about next season. He's got a long-term contract. He's controlled on that side of it, so don't worry about that. You don't know if you will ever be back here again. Vegas might say that the odds are higher for them to win next year, but you know why? Because they aren't down 3 games already now. They haven't given up 3 losses in the playoffs. So that makes a big difference when it comes to that. He's got to play. You know he's going to play. What effectiveness he has, to me, is as irrelevant as what's the game plan going to be built around what he can and can't do.
All right, so, Monica, I'm going to make you what you probably were born to be, and that is a head coach.
Hey, thank you, Greeny.
And so now you're watching. If he looks pretty similar to the way he looked, we're early in the game now tomorrow night, and he looks similar to the way he looked in the second half on Sunday night or Monday night, whenever that game was. Are you leaving him out there, or are you making the move?
Hey, we out. Insert Sandman, sit down. Let's go, TJ McConnell. I know you've got it in you. Let's go, Andrew Nembhard. You've been a huge key to us getting this train back on the right tracks after having injuries to start the season. Let's go, Pascal Siakam. You've understood what it is to play in the finals and become a champion. In fact, Greeny, as we started this segment, listening to Wendy, I almost had the thought that I either play or don't. Right? If you are hampered in warm-up, do not go out there. Let's proceed as if you are not available so that those guys can get the necessary rhythm. TJ McConnell could prepare to play bigger minutes, like the whole bit. And I don't know, I'm sure that he will want to test it out unless warm-ups reveal that he just doesn't have it. But to me, to have the clarity of who you have could actually be beneficial to the Pacers as they have the opportunity to keep the series alive. And we've seen through these series, you and I watched it, the urgency of elimination just cannot be quite manufactured.
I'll just say this, adrenaline is a hell of a drug. Yeah. And so you let that kind of take its course to start the game, and then you proceed that way. To me, everything you said is exactly why you should be the Knicks' next head coach, because it's the right way to handle it.
No pressure.
No, think about it. You start the game with him because he is your star, and he is in the middle, and you let the adrenaline and the crowd and feed off it, whatever it is. He makes his first two shots or makes a great pass. The crowd goes crazy. That could be all he contributes. But you already have the game plan, and the players also understand. McConnell, Nembhard, all the guys you need to handle the basketball at way more than they're used to. You already have that game plan in place, and you know you can go to it immediately.
It's interesting you bring that up. Willis Reed only made 2 buckets in that legendary Game 7. Walt Frazier had maybe the greatest Game 7 in the history of the sport. People still call it the Willis Reed game. So the question is, who is it that is ready to be their Walt Frazier tomorrow night if Tyrese Halliburton can't be or can only be Willis Reed? How do you see that part of it, Winman? If he isn't able to be what he normally is, what is the recipe for Indiana somehow prolonging this series?
Well, Rick Carlisle said that they'll prepare 2 game plans with him and without him. I'm sure the Thunder will as well, and they'll have a defensive game plan on TJ McConnell that will be different than the way they played on Monday. But I will say that part of the reason the Pacers struggled on Monday wasn't just Halliburton. They got poor offensive play from most of their guards. Benedict Mathurin, who had that brilliant Game 3, he was just 2 of 11 shooting in Game 5. Also, Andrew Nembhard, who's been awesome defensively throughout this series, he had a poor offensive game. He's shooting the three-pointer poorly, just 33% in this series. So one way to start is to get better production out of the guards that they do have that are healthy.
And you think they're going to be a tough out?
They have been all season. I mean, they have been throughout the playoffs. Why would you not now? Why would you expect them to lay down, especially at home, especially in that building? Pat McAfee's going to grab the mic. He's going to hype everybody up like he's been doing. All that's coming. What Wendy said, though, is what I'm watching. Because now, again, as you mentioned, Monica, new game plan or expectation of what my role is. The issue in that fourth quarter was turnovers. Not Halliburton turnovers, but Nembhard turnovers, some careless passing. That stuff has got to get cleaned up. If you are more aware of what the offense is supposed to be and your role in it as a facilitator, you are obviously more aware of the type of passes you have to make. But him, Nesmith, and Mathurin made a lot of critical mistakes in that fourth quarter. It was a 2-point game.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
I get it. It was a 2-point game until it wasn't, because while we can parse out whether turnovers forced or not, you still got to deal with this Thunder defense that I believe is the way.
James, tomorrow night we will see the treatment on Halliburton will continue. Meanwhile, if you're a sports fan, here are 3 more things you need to know this morning on this very busy day. It begins with the Yankees. They've lost 5 straight. They got shut out by the Angels yesterday. The Yankees haven't scored a run in 29 innings. They've been shut out in 3 consecutive games. That ties the franchise record. Aaron Judge struck out 3 times, his 4th time doing so in that losing streak. Meanwhile, out west, the opposite story. Shohei Ohtani went 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts, and then things would get chippy in the 3rd.